From Texas Weather Tracker TV, this is a Texas Weather Alert.
All right, folks, this is a live Texas Weather Alert here. William Cole in the Forecast Center back live with you here again. Our Forecast Center located in the West Love Field area of Dallas, Texas, but we're covering weather in our far western counties now, at least late this afternoon, now early evening. So just real quickly, the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex being back over in here. We continue with the tornado watch for the counties in green, again, our far western counties in our coverage area, and we now have a brand new tornado warning. This is going to be for Shackelford County. Officially, it's one county out of our warning area, but this storm, if it holds together, is going to be moving into Throckmorton County, and that is a county that we cover. So we are going to talk about this storm. We actually have two storm trackers right there in the area as well, and we're going to be checking in and talking with them as well. Josh, what was the time on that warning? It was until 7 p.m. Okay, until 7 p.m. Let's go and zoom in on this. And again, right now this is in Shackelford County, and again, this would be Throckmorton County over here. So again, in general, if this storm would hold together, it would try and track up towards the Throckmorton area. So we'll be tracking that carefully. Again, I probably don't have to tell you, here is the hook right there. Very evident, this is a supercell. And again, I can tell you as we go through at least the early evening, talking about really right now from 7 p.m. through about 9 p.m., there's going to be a phenomenon called the low-level jet that's going to be increasing. As that happens, a lot of times that will enhance some tornado potential. And so we're going to be tracking that very carefully to see if that is simply going to be the case, again, as we head deeper now into the evening. But again, at least right now, this is a radar indicated tornado. Again, you can see the hook here. And again, in general, if it does hold together, there is some motion, at least towards the Throckmorton County area. Right now, no immediate hometowns. Let's switch to the other radar source. And as we go over to the other radar, we'll take a look at the spin rate as well. And we'll go and zoom this on in. We'll kind of center it up and we'll zoom it on in. And again, as we do that, again, red dots here, these are our live GPS of where our trackers are. We have Joe, we have Chantel, both of them on the southern sides of the storm. You don't want them on the northern sides. There's a bunch of hail and heavy rain up in here, right? So they're down to the south. They're in the clear slot looking up into what could be potentially the area of spin. There's Albany right down in there. Now, the tornado warning itself is north of Albany. Again, that's a red box. But again, right now, it's really rural. There's no immediate hometowns in it. Let's go over to the tracker video here, and we'll go and take a look and see what they're seeing out there. And so first of all, this is Joe, and again, he's now in the Albany area. So Joe, you're on the live line with us here first. Again, this brand new tornado warning here for Shackelford, I can't say, it's a tongue twister, until 7 p.m. Give us an update and tell us exactly where you are.
So we're northeast of Albany right now, and we're looking to the northwest. I'm seeing, it's kind of hard to see right now because we're still a little ways off and we're kind of on some dirt roads, trying to maneuver our way around this thing. I'm not seeing anything particularly on the ground or anything, but it could be possibly rain right back in there. I see a lot of rain, a lot of, it's really hard to see back in there. Like I said, so not really seeing a tornado on the ground, but there is, some rotation I can see and a lot of rain. So back to you, William.
Okay, Joe, really appreciate that update. But this is, again, what we're doing now. So the Weather Service based it off of radar. Again, as they're looking at radar, the different products, same thing we'll be looking at here as well. Their indication was there is at least the potential now for some tornado genesis to begin to develop and potentially producing a tornado. Again, Joe's looking right at it. Again, you can see the base of this. I mean, literally, Joe is right there. So again, this is one of the things you'll see here on Texas Weather Tracker TV. Again, as we cover tornadoes live, again, across North Texas, our goal is to cover every tornado live. That's simply what we've been doing. And again, we're not just talking about live with radar, but also with our storm trackers. Texas's #1 storm tracking team out there with live video. So we can show you what radar is showing, but this is where the important stuff comes in here. Again, we're showing you live video from the field. And if in real time there is an actual tornado, or if we see a tornado developing in real time as well. So let's go over to Chantel's video here if we have her video coming in. And so here's a different angle, and oh boy, Chantel, so we can really see the structure here with this too now from your shot. Chantel, tell us where you are now exactly, and also from your vantage point, go ahead and give us an update as well.
I am due north of Albany right now, heading back to our north just a little bit to try to get a better view of this Walcott, I believe. It's really hard for me to tell right now. We're in very hill country right now, and there's a lot of mesquite trees, so it's blocking my view of the storm right now. Back to you, William.
Okay, really appreciate that update. But again, great job, Chantel. And again, if anything changes with Joe or Chantel, either or, again, let us know. But again, you can actually see, and again, this is almost important to have the two separate shots. Again, Joe right there at close range, again, looking directly underneath it to see what's going on. And again, Chantel also kind of giving us this overview shot here as well. So again, we apologize. You can see her video kind of timing in and out a little bit. And again, the only reason for that is they are in a very rural area. There is not a lot of cell phone signal there at all. But again, Joe, we continue to look at your shot. And again, we've got a clean view here of, again, the area of rotation. You can actually see back there in the far distance, you can see the wall cloud there. And Joe, it looks a little more pronounced now in your shot. I mean, we're looking at this here in real time, and that wall cloud is looking a little more pronounced to me. Again, what are you seeing from out there? Again, you're looking directly at it.
Yeah, I'm seeing it too, and it is kind of looking kind of like a wall cloud. Like I said, it is rotating, and it looks like it is attached to the bottom, the bottom of the cloud up above. So. We're just kind of watching that direction, and we'll keep an eye on it. We're not seeing anything on the ground or anything. We're still a little ways off from it, I believe, but it's still. I mean, like I said, it's rotating, and we got some movement. So outside of that, nothing on the ground yet. Back to you, Wayne.
Yeah, and the nice thing about your shot, Joe, is, I mean, kind of how the horizon there is lit up. I mean, it looks as though, it appears as though, at least from looking at it here on TV, that if there was anything that was connecting or any kind of dust swirl coming up, that because of, again, kind of the light from the west there kind of lighting it up, that we would be able to see it. So, I mean, this is an amazing shot that you have right here. But again, this is a brand new tornado warning here. Again, it's for Shackelford County. For some reason, that's a tongue twister to me. And again, that's until 7 p.m. Again, it is just one county outside of our general coverage area. But again, Throckmorton County, if this holds together, there is an opportunity for this to move up into Throckmorton County. Again, we've got our team of trackers out, and again, they're covering it live. So again, we're going to cover this on in as it potentially tries to move on in to portions of Throckmorton County. But again, and you can even see just, I mean, since I was talking there, and maybe like not even a minute, you can actually even see the area spin, almost kind of lifting back up, Joe, where we had more of a pronounced wall cloud there. And again, in real time, we say this all the time, that these supercells are living, breathing machines. I mean, you can actually see in real time changes with these. And again, Joe, I mean, even kind of the wall cloud has almost disappeared in real time. I mean, are you seeing that there as well? I mean, from your angle as well, Joe? I mean, again, we're looking at it here just through the screen, but I mean, what I'm looking at, I mean, it looks like, I mean, almost the wall cloud, I mean, is almost just kind of fizzling out again right in front of our eyes. I mean, is that what you're seeing out there in the field as well?
Yeah, I agree. Earlier when we first pulled up to this spot, it did look like a lowering, and it looked like almost like a funnel for a minute, but then, like you said, it kind of went back up, and now it's just kind of, it kind of lifted back up. But there's still some rotation up in the cloud. You can see it rotating pretty good. And so yeah, I totally agree. It looks like it kind of maybe died out a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's switch over to Chantel's shot real quick, and then we'll get back to radar. We'll take another look at radar coming up. But again, we're seeing this in real time. And like I mentioned, you're not seeing this in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. You're definitely not seeing this in the Wichita Falls market. Again, right here on Texas Weather Tracker TV. Again, live storms happening right in front of your eyes. Chantel's video may have dipped out for 1 second. We'll check back in with hers. So while we kind of have this thing kind of lifting a little bit, let's go back to radar. Let's go and take a look and see what we have going on there. And so we've still got this very well-pronounced hook coming around. Now, here's a couple things we're going to be watching, at least here in the forecast center on radar, and we're going to see if this happens over the next 5 minutes or so. Sometimes these storms, these supercells, the hook will wrap up in on itself, and that's what we call occluding. And if that happens, the immediate tornado threat dramatically goes down, at least momentarily. Now, the storms we're dealing with today, these are called cyclic supercells. They'll cycle up and they'll cycle down. So as that hook comes up in on itself, that will be a life cycle. But generally, over the next 5 to 10 minutes, it will redevelop a new hook, and then we'll essentially do the same process over and over again as we essentially go through the evening. Let's look at the spin rate with this one here too, if we can. And so the spin rate really not looking very impressive. Now keep in mind the radar that we're using down here, we're ultra close to the radar, and they have it in a different mode. So I don't really think the spin rate is presenting that well. Let's look at velocities. Let's just look at the raw data here. And we'll zoom back in. And so even it's still looking a little disorganized. I mean, it really is. So the radar's down here. The green is inbound. This is the wrap back around. But the inflow, we're not getting a real clean cut of inflow coming into the storm. What I want to do, let's move the beam up just a notch. And if we can, let's move the beam up, yeah, just a notch, and then let's go one more notch. We're just going to kind of move it up a little bit. And so we just don't have a real good, clean area of inflow. And what that may be telling us is that the storm may be occluding, again, that hook trying to come up in on itself. And again, as that happens, like I said, the immediate tornado threat will go down. But again, there's no guarantee it stays down. Again, a lot of times the life cycle of these, within 5 or 10 minutes, it'll come back up. What we're looking for is a bright area of red. That would be the inflow, wind away from the radar being down here. So strong inflow, again, being wrapped back around. This is a little bit better. Where are we at on this, Josh? What elevation are we at? 2.4. So this is looking up a little bit further into cloud base, and so that's a better presentation of the mesocyclone. But again, as we get closer to ground base, where the lower levels of the area of spin, that we would be more concerned with a potential tornado activity. Again, looking less impressive there. But this is still what we call a mid-level area of spin. So meaning the mid-level of the storm is still spinning, and a lot of times that'll still help to maintain a decent hail core with the storm as well. Let's go back to reflectivity. And let's just kind of watch and see what happens again with this hook. Let's see if it does continue to try and close up in on itself. Let's go back to Joe's, or actually let's do this just real quick, Josh, if we can. Let's go to the other radar and let's do a time of arrival on this, and let's kind of track it out over maybe a county or so. So this is Throckmorton County up here. So again, technically this is out of our general coverage area, but again, we're watching only for the fact it may come up here into portions of Throckmorton County. And so we'll just kind of do a cone of danger there. There's a bit of a northeasterly and easterly motion there with the storm. And so again, you can see the general path there. And we'll plot on the times if we can. And there may not necessarily be many hometowns. And so we may not be getting the times because there's not a lot of hometowns. This is in a pretty rural area here. But again, we're going to continue to track that. Okay, let's go back to the video. And if we can, whenever we have time, let's go back to the video and we'll take a look at Joe's video. And so still got a clean shot of the base of the storm there. And again, Joe, I think really what we saw, again, from where we talked to you 5 minutes ago, where we had at least a fairly well-pronounced wall cloud, we saw that wall cloud kind of get ingested back up into the storm. And at least from this angle, I mean, unless we're just not seeing it there in your shot, I'm not seeing the wall cloud anymore. What are you seeing out there?
Yeah, I'm not seeing a wall cloud either. Where the wall cloud, that area of the wall cloud kind of passed over us, and it's kind of moving just to the northwest, and I'm facing west. Actually, kind of watching in the distance. There's another storm that's coming up behind this one that we're also kind of keeping an eye on, and it does have some ragged lowerings back in there, and it should track right toward us. So we're just kind of holding firm to see if that's what happens. And this other one looks like it may get going and may take over this one. We're just waiting game to see. Back to you, William.
Yeah, no, Joe, I mean, you're right on the money on that. These storms have almost morphed together. Let's, if we can, Josh, let's go back to radar just real quick here. And so we basically had two separate supercells here. They've kind of morphed together a little bit. So this was a supercell, this was a supercell, two separate hooks, and they've kind of congealed and morphed together now. And even though this one right here is currently tornado warned, again, we may need to kind of watch a little bit further back there to the back and see what happens with this one. In fact, let's go to the other radar if we can, Josh. And we'll take a look at this kind of tail end area. Again, you can see what was the hook on that one. And let's look at the spin rate as well on this one. And so again, still not overly impressive, but a little more impressive than what we were seeing with this one here. Let's look at the raw data, the velocities. And again, it's still kind of an unbalanced area of spin back there to the back. But both of these, again, we need to watch. And again, obviously we have the tornado warning here until 7 p.m. Again, not necessarily any hometowns included in it. Again, just north of the Albany area there. And again, this being just one county out from the general area that we cover. Do we still have Chantel on the live line? Is she back on there? Do we have her video at all by any chance? Okay, if we can, let's pop it up real quick. They said it's in and out. We'll see what we can do with it. She was just a little bit further back on it. So there's her video. And it's coming in at least from time to time. But do we have her on the live line or no? Chantel, are you on the live line with us? Okay, and that's all right. So there's Chantel's shot right there. So again, we got two separate storm trackers on it. Real quick, let's do this. Let's go back to radar, and if we can, Josh, we'll zoom out a little bit. I want to kind of take a look at the overview with everything that we have going on. So obviously this tornado warning here, but again, keep in mind just kind of one county out from our general coverage area. Again, we're all quiet down here in the Metroplex. That will be changing. We will have rain and storms move in as we go through the overnight. Let's go up to the north. Let's take a look at these Red River storms here as well. And again, those are just out of our general viewing area, our general coverage area as well. But this is kind of a broken line of severe weather here, severe storms. And again, there may be an opportunity of some embedded spin within those as well. I believe there was a brief tornado warning up in Oklahoma, up there in Harmon County. But at least right now, as we head deeper into the evening, these will eventually begin to move in towards the Vernon area, also down towards Seymour. And again, those are areas that we cover. So again, we'll be watching these storms, and if they hold together, even over towards potentially, again, Wichita Falls as well. But again, right now, an opportunity for big hail up to the size of golf balls with those, and again, the general motion to the east. So again, everything right now kind of on the fringes of the area that we cover. But the reason why we're live here with you, and again, the reason why we have the storm trackers out there, even in those areas, we're tracking it on into our general coverage area. Again, it could weaken as it moves in. We understand that, but at least right now these storms are quite severe, and at least right now the biggest threat with any of this activity is hail. But again, our lone storm back down there to the south, the supercell that's merged we were talking about, we'll go back down to that. And again, tornado warning continues there again until 7 p.m. So we'll take it back down. We'll zoom back in on this one here as well. And so tornado warning continues here. Again, there's Throckmorton County. That would kind of be the leading edge, kind of the tip, if you will, of our general coverage area. Let's go to the other radar, and we'll take a look at the velocities. And so we're going to kind of look at both of these separate areas. This area here, let's zoom in on this here. In fact, let's go back to reflectivity and let's zoom in. This was the area that may have kind of been occluding, and I think we're seeing that here in real time. I think we're seeing this one here kind of occlude. And so this may be the new area of spin right back here, and that's something that Joe was talking about as well. There's the old hook. I kind of see that coming up in on itself. That's called occluding. And let's hit the spin rate tracker. And as we do that, again, we're not necessarily seeing anything. Even though, again, this is officially in the tornado warning, this is looking a little less impressive. Now, that doesn't mean not to take your tornado precautions. Obviously, if you live in this area, this is in a really open rural area. There's essentially no hometowns here. It's north of the Albany area. But again, tornado warning continues there. Let's go back to the south and let's take a look at the back part of this storm. And then we'll check back in with Joe. And again, there's that area of spin that we're watching that may be trying to enhance and maybe trying to come up. Let's take a look at the velocities within that part. And again, as we do that, again, you can still just see this broad area of spin. It's not necessarily tight, but it's still a fairly broad area of spin that we're watching back there. And even, let's go back to reflectivity one more time. Again, we're just kind of analyzing all this in real time. And again, we'll see if this hook begins to form up. Again, here's the inflow right here. This would be where the storm is breathing in. The one thing we're not necessarily seeing on velocities, what we just looked at, the red and green, is we're not getting a hot area of red. So meaning, and the radar in this situation is right down in here. So we'd be looking for red away from the radar. We're getting a fairly decent wrap back around, but the inflow is not necessarily very strong inbound into that area of spin in the back. Okay, so let's go back to Joe's video. And we'll check in with Chantel when she gets back on the line with us. But we've got Joe's video. It doesn't look like there's a lot of change there, Joe. It looks like that part of the cell that you're on there, maybe trying to kind of occlude and wrap up in on itself. What are you seeing out there? Give us a live report.
Yeah, we're seeing the same thing. The initial cell when we got here that had the tornado warning, it kind of lifted and went away, and then now now we've turned around. We're going to track back east, back toward Albany itself, and just kind of set up and wait for the cell that's behind this one to come to us, because it also looks like it's looking off to the west. You can kind of see some ragged lowerings and stuff out that way, but it's about 10 miles off from us. So at this point, that's our plan. Just kind of go back south a little bit and wait this one and see what happens.
Okay, Joe, no, great job. Again, really appreciate that update. And again, you guys doing a great job out there. Chantel also there. Again, the deal is they're just in such a rural area. We're just having a little bit of trouble, getting Chantel's video and her audio in. So she'll be kicking back in here again momentarily. But again, this is what you see here on Texas Weather Tracker TV. Again, we're not just talking about radar. We're not just showing you the reds and greens as you see everywhere. Again, we've got storm trackers in the field. We cover weather completely live all across North Texas. And again, we do it in real time. And again, we do it with this phenomenal team of dedicated storm trackers, and again, Joe just being part of it, Chantel also out there, Bob also on it today as well. And again, we've had these storms surrounded, again, as we've gone through the afternoon and now into the early evening as well. But again, if anything were to change, again, Joe is right there looking at it. Chantel also, by the way, right there looking at it as well. And again, we would have it in real time. But did we get Chantel back on the line? Did I just hear her back on the live line with us? Okay, maybe not. So, and again, we'll be checking back in with Chantel again coming up momentarily. So we're just kind of letting Joe's video play there just a little bit. Again, we can show you the colors on the radar all day. But again, this right here is what really tells the story. This is what's really going on out there. And again, we've had some dynamic storms. We did have one brief spin up again earlier today that we confirmed here on Texas Weather Tracker TV. Then we had a report of another potential tornado again earlier today as well. And again, these guys have been out running and gunning again as we've really gone through the afternoon into the evening. Okay, let's do this. Let's just go back to radar. We've just kind of got a bit of a lull here. And, you know, we hate to really break away for too long when we have a tornado warning. Now, keep in mind this tornado warning technically is not necessarily in our general coverage area, but it's just one county out. So we really want to track this carefully, especially for our friends up here in Throckmorton County. By the way, the red dots you're seeing right there, those are our storm trackers live GPS locations. So in real time, we're plotting exactly where they are. So again, as we're seeing their video, we can also come back to radar and say, hey, there's where Joe is right there as well. So let's do this. Let's look inside the storm. Let's look at the hail core tracker. And a lot of times the hail core tracker, it'll give us an indication as to how strong the mesocyclone is. Is the mesocyclone weakening as we would maybe anticipate with this at least easterly fringe of the storm? And is it maybe holding steady, or is it maybe strengthening as we're beginning to get some indications about the back end of this storm? And again, as we zoom in this a little bit, Josh, again, you can see kind of the storm that was actually tornado warned. Again, this is weakening here, and we don't want to take away from the tornado warning at all. But again, this portion of it is absolutely weakening here. Let's go back to the velocities real quick. And as we do that, again, we still see this broad area of spin here. So again, with the radar sight being down here, this is the area of spin right here. We're still getting some fairly decent wrap back around here. But again, compared to where it was, again, maybe, let's say 10 minutes ago, this storm does continue to weaken. Now, again, I don't want to take away from the tornado warning. Again, if you happen to be in the tornado warning, again, the one thing is we essentially have no hometowns in this warning. This is in an open rural area. But again, there are farms and such out here that, again, you would need to be taking your tornado precautions. But again, as we're just analyzing this in real time, it does appear as though this is at least easing on down. Chantel's right there on 281. So whenever we get to Chantel back on the line, she would be looking right up into the area of spin. We've got Joe back over here, but the deal with Joe is he's kind of watching, again, what could be coming in there from the west with that secondary area of spin that we're watching carefully. In fact, let's go and take a closer look at that. We'll kind of just slide the radar off to the west. And again, that other hook is kind of wrapped up in on itself. And okay, so here we go. You just saw the new sweep come in. So this hook here is more pronounced. And in fact, let's go to the spin rate with this one. And as we go to the spin rate, again, this one continues to come up. This is one we got to watch. Officially, this one is not in the tornado warning, but I think this is the one that's a little bit more concerning. And again, this is essentially sliding right down Highway 380, and right down Highway 160 there towards the east. So we're going to be tracking that. Let's go to velocities here as well. And okay, yeah, I was just double checking that. Yeah, let's go to velocities as well. And so even as we go to velocities here, again, we're still seeing some fairly strong inbound. This would be the couplet right back in here that, again, is trying to develop. So this is what we're going to be tracking, again, as we go forward. Let's do this. I'm just listening to Joe here in my ear. So we're going to check back in with Joe momentarily. What about Chantel? Do we have Chantel on the live line at all?
We have her video.
Okay, let's go to Chantel's video because I believe she's right there on the 281. And so there she is. So there's her video. But again, that's the weakening part of this storm. And so even though you can see the base off there in the distance, this just looks less concerning. So even though, again, officially that tornado warning there continues for a few more minutes, I think the Weather Service may allow that one to expire. And then I think we may be dealing with, again, what's back there off to the west that we were just looking at. But again, Chantel right there on the 281. There's her video. Again, you can see the base off in the distance, but it's just, again, it's just really not as impressive as it was just a little bit earlier. Okay, so let's do this. Let's go back to Joe's video. And again, we just got to kind of bounce around. When you kind of have a lull like this, there's not necessarily anything going on. Again, you just got to kind of bounce around and again, see exactly, again, what's going on. And again, there's a lot of storm chasers out there. You call this chaser convergence. And you can see Joe just kind of battling through. Again, all these other guys, again, just kind of parked out there. And again, doing the same thing Joe's doing. Again, monitoring the storm, again, for any kind of changes out there as well. I think we just got Chantel on the line. Did we just get Chantel?
I'm here.
Hey, Chantel. Okay, so we got you back on. Are you still on the 281? Tell us where you are now. And on the part of the storm you're on, from here, it really looks like it's weakening down. But again, you're our eyes in the field. Tell us where you are and give us an update.
Oh, yes, this storm has definitely lost its structure. I am actually in Albany right now, about to hit 281 and head towards Looters, if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
On the hook.
Back to you, William.
Oh, okay. Okay, Chantel, thanks for that. Sorry, I was actually talking here. I think you may have thought I was talking to you. Sorry about that. And a great report there. And so again, Chantel basically confirming what we were seeing here on radar, that again, that area spin, that's basically going away. Officially, tornado warning continues there. It's weakening, and it's going to be the back part of the storm that's really coming up. Let's go back to radar here. And again, great job out there, Chantel. Just part of our team of trackers. She's been running and gunning with the best of them today. That's absolutely for sure. So where Chantel is here, again, that's where the old hook was. Again, that hook is basically wrapped up in on itself. This is all just heavy rain here. The tornado threat's going away fairly quickly. It's all going to be about this back end piece now, this new hook that again is coming up there on the back end. Let's just zoom in on this real quick if we can. And again, as we do that, again, you can see obviously where the hook is. This is the inflow notch. This is where the storm is breathing in, again, some of that unstable air. Let's look at velocities real quick. And again, just in real time, we'll go and analyze this. The inbound still on the back end of this is just not super impressive. So whenever I say inbound, the radar site being off to the south here, red would be wind away from the radar, right? Feeding into the storm. Green is inbound wind tracking back towards the radar. So wind that is blowing into the storm, it's weak, and this is what we call weak inflow. So even though the storm structure is looking a little more impressive as far as the hook goes, the inflow notch goes, what we're looking at with the real data here, again, is just at this point in time, not looking quite as impressive. Let's quickly also look at the spin rate here. And this is what we call the mesocyclone spin rate. This is a product you only see here on Texas Weather Tracker TV. This is essentially the radar taking in all the data and, well, telling us where it thinks the best area of spin is. And again, you can see it right there. It's essentially where we're seeing it within the velocities, but at least right now, that is just not looking, again, overly impressive. We'll go back to our reflectivity, and we'll go and take a look at this thing here in 3D. Let's go and kind of slice it open a little bit, Josh, and we'll take a look at the inside here too. And again, as we do that, we'll kind of spin it around. And so we're always looking kind of at the top of the storm to see exactly how tall it is. Again, a lot of times that will factor into the hail potential. But then also as we're looking within the storm here as well, we're looking for basically what we call the weak echo region, or an area where there's not a lot of reflectivity. And again, a lot of times that would be the inflow notch that we were just talking about. So again, in real time with Mesoscan XR, extreme resolution radar here, again, we're able to actually sample and again, look within the storm there as well. And again, you can see basically there on the backside, that is the weak echo region. Again, that's essentially where we're getting the inflow. You see it right there, inflow coming into the storm. It's breathing. The problem with this one, and the reason why we don't have a tornado warning and the reason we're not near tornado genesis right now is, again, the inflow coming into the storm. It's fairly weak right now. It's just not breathing in much of that warm, unstable air. So, okay, as we go back to radar, we'll check in with Joe one more time. And again, since this one is kind of technically out of our coverage area, we may kind of give this one a break here for a few minutes, and then we'll get back with it. I'm just listening to what we have coming in from the trackers. Joe, you're still on the live line with us, I believe. Tell us where you are now. I know you're kind of waiting for this new hook that's regenerating. Again, there's Joe's live GPS location, so he's waiting for this to come to him. But Joe, tell us again where you are and give us a report.
We're still pretty much in the same area where we was at. I don't know if you saw in the video, but I was busy pulling somebody. They ran off the road into the ditch. Starting to get some hailstones. Like I said, we just got back far just in time, but starting to get some, diamond nickel-sized hail falling around us. But we are still watching that same storm. We're trying to get kind of repositioned now because it's kind of caught up to us. But we're going to work our way back toward Albany and kind of get out in front of it a little bit and then turn back around and get a video of it. for you. So anyway, thank you, William.
Yeah, no, great job, Joe, and great Samaritan work there as well. I think you can just add that to the list of things you've done today, because again, Joe's been blowing and going, and again, he's had some very dynamic video coming in, and when he was talking about pulling someone out of the ditch, I would take it it's another chaser that's out there as well, and again, so he's helping out one of his fellow chasers, again, literally, again, pulling him out of the ditch. So again, Joe, just the list of things he's doing today, it just keeps growing, and again, we're just now getting into it. Again, we'll see what the rest of the evening holds here as well. So, okay, here's what we're going to do. Since again, this is kind of out of our general coverage area, we're going to track this and see what happens. It's still about a county out though from the general area that we cover. Again, with any changes, we'll be back with you. But again, as more of this activity begins to move into our area, again, we'll be with you continuous as needed as we go through the evening. So otherwise, keep it here with Texas Weather Tracker TV. We'll keep you up to date with the latest live weather information for North Texas 24/7.
Stay with Texas Weather Tracker TV throughout the day for continuing coverage. Online, on the app, and on TV.